Bayan, tell us what's going on.
We're okay, awesome. Yeah, so we're at the breaking news scene right now. We're on the west side of the school. There's a very heavy police presence here. We understand right now there are 2 adult male victims located. Their conditions are unknown right now. They were taken to the hospital. DPD says they believe the suspect is no longer on scene, but this is still very active. We got the information shortly before 10 a.m. of DPD rushing to this school because of reports of a shooting. We right now know that the students are in lockdown right now. This is still a very active scene. You could see there in the far corner, right in front of the school entrance, an ambulance still there as they assess the rest of the campus to see if anybody else is injured. We have no idea who the suspect is. We have no idea what the circumstances of this shooting is. We just know that this just happened shortly before 10 a.m. and I've counted at least a dozen more police vehicles coming this way since we got here about 5 minutes ago. There are multiple surface streets around the corner that are blocked off right now. Again, the students are in lockdown. Officials are asking parents not to be responding to the school until DPD has a better hold of the situation, a better understanding of what transpired here. There are students who are in the parking lot who were either just arriving to campus, who are now just watching from the corner as they find out what is going on in the campus, as they're trying to figure out how are their classmates doing right now. And you know, the thing is, we have contacts from students in the school right now. We have their phone numbers. We even have a phone number of one of the teachers because it was just last month that we were here on scene when we got reports of one of the students here at East High School being shot near the school. It wasn't on campus, but it was near the school. And we saw the outpouring of support, and we saw the calls from classmates here at the school asking for something to happen, asking for some sort of change to take place as they are sick and tired of these lockdowns, sick and tired of all the gun violence that's happening around their schools. So again, back here on this scene, very, very active right now. We don't understand the circumstances of it. We just know that there are 2 victims, 2 adult victims. We have no idea whether they were employees at the school or whether they were parents or who they were at this point. That's all information we're looking to find out here shortly in the next several minutes. And that's what we have right now. We are going to try to move to the other side of the school to see if we could learn anything else from responding officials. Guys?
All right, our Bayan Wang there reporting live from the scene. We want to bring you up Air Tracker 7 right now to get a kind of a bird's eye view of what's going on. You saw Bayan shot there from the ground. You can see law enforcement there at the school. In a wider shot that we saw while he was speaking, you could see all of the police vehicles as they respond to this shooting. Again, we are told 2 adult victims here that were taken to the area hospitals. Bayan spoke about the ambulance as well. And Michael, we just got an update as well on the potential of those victims here.
Yeah, we just learned, and we would like to cite the Denver Post on this, that allegedly those 2 victims are faculty members there at East High School, or DPS faculty members. So that is a little bit of an update for you. Again, we are still, though, working, we're digging, we want to make sure that we get you the information that you need. So that is an update, again, citing the Denver Post, that 2 faculty members are allegedly the victims that were taken to the hospital from the scene here. And, you know, I want to go back to something that Bayan said. You could hear in his voice, you know, conveying the frustration that he has heard for the past month from students who have told him personally, we are afraid, our school, this is our worst fear right now. And I want to make sure that we recognize in this moment that it is a very scary situation for a lot of students and a lot of parents. Now, as you can see with Air Tracker 7 over the scene pulling out, so we have a better idea of just the size and scope of the campus there, you can see a lot of cars in the area, a ton of cars in the area. And we're learning that dozens of cars that were arriving were told to go back. So again, try your best not to get to that scene. Yeah, and you talked about the frustration of parents. Bayan talked about the frustration of parents, and we want to get back out to our Bayan Wang there at the scene, who was speaking with a parent about that. Bayan, take it away.
Yeah, well, look, parents are responding right now to this scene because they're trying to figure out how their student is doing right now. I just spoke to one. Steve, please join us here. We understand students are on lockdown. What is your child telling you?
Yeah, we've heard from him. He's in the library, and I've heard from other parents that their kids are safe. I do know that two people, or two deans, is what I heard.
To what?
Two deans were shot or stabbed. I don't know.
And how did you learn this information? Right now, we know that 2 adults were taken to the hospital. How are you finding out that they may be? Are you saying they may be?
I heard from somebody that is staff in the school to let me know. I know those.
What did they say exactly?
I'd have to look at my text thread, but I heard that a dean was shot, and then I heard that there were two, and then somebody said their names. The same person did.
And that's obviously information that we haven't heard yet. That's information that we're going to have to verify here. But in terms of your student being in the library, how long have they been on lockdown for?
I think this has been going on for 20 minutes or so. I don't know anything more than that.
Okay.
I just want to point out that this is the fourth major incident here at East High. The Denver School Board is failing us, and it's really a problem. We have the shooting involved 3 East students right here at Carla Madsen. They disclaim that, say it's far away. It's school property, basically. It's right in front of the school. Then we have a swatting incident a week later. Then we have the shooting of Luis Garcia, and we just had his funeral on Saturday. How much more is it going to take before people start realizing this place is a ticking time bomb?
And I've been hearing the exhaustion from parents. I've been hearing the exhaustion from students who've been calling for stricter action to be taken against gun laws. Gun
laws is a long-term play. We got to figure that out as a society and as a country. What's more immediate is school resource officers were barred from being in the school. There were 18 in the city and county of Denver that were helping. They were keeping lids on things. There's this thing called a ladder, a discipline ladder. They can't report anything to the police. It's really a bad situation.
Well, I actually covered this story 2 weeks ago, and it's just so tragic that we're actually back here about DPS and the students here going to the Capitol asking for SROs to come back to the school. These were friends of Luis Garcia, the student who was killed here. The shooting happened in February. He was taken off life support, and they asked DPS to consider reinstating an SRO at this school. And the response they got from City Council in Denver was, "We are here to support and hear what you guys have to say." Does it not prove that there needs to be an urgent step taken here because students just don't feel safe?
Yes. Imagine how disruptive your work environment would be if you were going to work every day with fear of these types of things going on at your place of employment. So from the teacher's perspective, yes, things have to improve. From a student's perspective, they're constantly interrupted by lockdowns and SWAT officers. How are they supposed to be in a frame of mind to absorb this information? And for all the disruptors that are in the school that could be addressed through disciplinary actions that the teachers are prohibited from taking because of the school board has directed them not to refer to the police. And all this environment just has to improve, not only for the teachers and their working environment, but for the students learning.
Yeah, and it's my understanding you have a sophomore at this school. What kind of conversations are they having with you about how they feel about their safety in light of everything you just shared?
My son is being stoic. He is acting unfazed. I have an incoming freshman as well. But I will tell you that at the swatting incident, I've seen kids broken down in tears, crying. It's very traumatic to some kids. My student has been through some of other things that have led him to have the resiliency to deal and to cope with these things. But it's unfair to the student body in general.
Steven, you've been really gracious with your time. I really appreciate it. Wish the best of luck to you guys. All right. Guys, back here now, we saw a few more law enforcement vehicles coming this way. We're going to speak to more parents here. As soon as we get another update, we'll bring it to you live.
All Right, thank you, Brian. And we know Stephen is speaking the words that a lot of parents are feeling right now. We do have an update from Denver Public Schools. They just tweeted out the latest information here. It says, we will be doing a controlled release once DPD allows. Parents can pick up their children at 17th and Esplanade. Students who drove will be escorted to their cars in the parking lot and can leave. Students who ride the bus will be held until their bus arrives. Again, this is a controlled release. It's not happening right now. DPS is still waiting for police to tell them when they are able to activate this controlled release. Parents, again, you can pick your children up at 17th and Esplanade. Students who drove will be escorted to their cars in the parking lot and can leave. Students who ride the bus will have to be held until their bus arrives, Jason.
So that's the update to the lockdown, which started all of this. So let's run you through just kind of an update here at 10:37, a quick recap of what we know and what we've learned so far. The initial tweet that East High School went on lockdown came in at about 10 o'clock. At 10:05, Denver police tweeted that there was a shooting at the school. A few minutes later, Denver police updated us that there were 2 adult victims that were taken to the hospital, that the suspect, the alleged shooter, was not believed to still be in the area. So as you can see from these live pics of Air Tracker 7, obviously a massive police response as the students were being held there inside the school just for their safety. Our news gathering partners over at the Denver Post are reporting that the 2 adult victims were faculty members at East High School. We are still working on confirmation of that. And just within the last few minutes, as Bion was speaking, we did get the update that federal officials, the local ATF, is also responding because obviously there was a gun involved here, a shooting here at a school. So they are also on the scene helping with this investigation.
Yeah, and we are learning that our Colette Bordelon just got to the scene. She is there, where very soon there will be a media briefing. Colette, what have you learned so far?
Right now, guys, details are very limited out here. As you were just saying, Jason, Denver police releasing information that 2 adult victims have been transported to the hospital. We don't know about their condition. Hopefully, when they get out here and they are able to brief us, we learn a little bit more about how that exactly happened and how they're doing right now. This is the scene behind us right here from our location. Like I said, we're waiting on Denver police to learn a little bit more, but this school has been shaken in the past couple of months. I mean, I deeply covered what happened to Luis Garcia. You guys might remember him. He was the 16-year-old soccer player who was shot near school. He ended up dying around 2 weeks later at the beginning of March. His family rattled. So many students here calling for help when it comes to gun violence. So to have this happen here so close to what happened to Luis Garcia, to have it happen at any time, anywhere, obviously shakes a community, rattles a community. Hopefully, guys, once the police get here and they are able to brief us, we'll have that live for you. So any questions you have, please head on over to my Twitter, where I'm going to be tweeting live updates. We'll keep you as updated as we can throughout this entire process, because I know it's stressful. We've got parents milling around asking questions, waiting to see when they can get to their kids, guys.
You know, Colette mentioned parents, a lot of parents wanting answers, and I just want to mention that we did speak. If you're just tuning in with us a few moments ago, our Bion Wang spoke with the parent. His name was Stephen, and he was very, very frustrated. He told us that his child was locked down in the library right now, and he, like many others, dozens of other parents, are just waiting for an update. So Colette offering to, answer any questions or ask the questions that are on a lot of minds. Make sure you send those over to her on social media, because I know that she will do her best to get as many questions answered as possible. And there are a lot, Jason.
Yeah, and as we continue to cover this, it's important that there are going to be layers to this. There are going to be the specific details. What happened? Who, what, where, when, why, all of those specific questions we're going to have for Denver police, and hopefully they will be able to answer those. Who they believe this alleged shooter may have been, who the victims were, what the updates were, where it happened, how it ultimately went down. Then we will eventually get into this high school has seen a lot of this. There has been the debate over the removal of student resource officers. There have been the calls from students in the past, in the wake of the Luis Garcia death, that there should be more. There should be more school security. There should be more police presence. There should be more metal detectors. We will be covering all of that as we kind of go throughout the course of today and this week. But right now, we're just trying to get you the absolute latest information. Right. Now, we don't want to speculate too much as to the current status of what's going on inside the building, but that controlled release from Denver Public Schools that came in a few minutes ago, that they will eventually be doing a controlled release once DPD allows, and the tweet that from Denver Public, or from the police department, saying they don't believe the suspect is on the scene.
Right.
We are kind of taking a bit of a half deep breath or half exhale because of that, and that's what we want parents to know as well, because if the suspect is in fact no longer at the school,
right,
and if they are talking about letting kids go at this point, you can kind of read the tea leaves in some ways to say, okay, we may be able to kind of take a little bit of a breath, figure out obviously what happened, because that's going to be the most important thing going forward, and where that suspect is. But at least within the confines of the school, if they're talking about a controlled release, that could be a good thing.
That could be a good thing. And we do have another one of our team members that just arrived on the scene. Our Brian Sanders is there. Brian, tell us what you're seeing where you are.
Well, we're just outside the south end of the school right now. Obviously, the huge police presence has the main entrance to the school blocked off. There are a number of concerned citizens, parents that we have seen come by, obviously concerned about what's going on inside the school right now. As we understand it, the kids are in lockdown, the staff is in lockdown. They were in their third period classes here when they received word of the violence. As you've heard, 2 adult victims were located and transported to area hospitals. We hope to learn more information about their condition, about the security checks from police here, how the remaining students and staff are doing here at the school, still inside. A press briefing will happen here shortly as soon as the superintendent can get down here along with Denver Police. And again, we hope to learn more information. We do understand that the kids will be released in a controlled manner once it's deemed safe to do so. But right now, the entire campus is still on lockdown, and a number of concerned people out here just waiting for more information. And as soon as we are able to get it, we will bring it to you guys.
All right, thank you, Brian, for that update. Again, just another look at that scene behind Brian, and we were just on Air Tracker 7. If we can pull that up again. There we have several ambulances on the scene as well. We do have a new tweet from Denver Police that I want to pull up here and see, maybe we can get it up on the screen in the meantime. I know producers are working on that, but it's basically discussing if you live in the neighborhood, where exactly you should be at this time. I will reiterate, you want to avoid the area as much as possible. And right there on your screen, we're taking this live from Air Tracker 7. We see 2 paramedics that are headed inside of the school there. So again, we are learning that there are 2 adult victims that have been located and transported to area hospitals. All right, now we do have the latest tweet from DPD. They say contact a community resource officer at District 6 for guidance. This is in terms of where you should go, what you should do. Working hard to pull this up on my computer. It's a little bit tough for me to read, but it says you can call a technician. There's information. There's a phone number there on your screen, an email. There are 2 technicians that you can call if you are looking for help, if you do need to contact a community resource officer at District 6 for any guidance on where you should be, what you should do at this point in time. So that is another update for you, just into the studio here, again into the newsroom, and we're going to continue to keep you updated here in just a few minutes. I do want to let you know our entire team is on this today. From every aspect, we have you covered. I know social media, especially at times like this, can be a very scary place. It's hard to sort fact from fiction. We are doing that for you right now, and we have the latest information for you as soon as it comes in. Within seconds, we have it on air for you right now, Jason.
Again, taking this live look from Air Tracker 7 above, you can see the ambulances there on Esplanade. You can see the various marked and unmarked Denver Police vehicles there on scene as they are trying to learn more about what happened, as are we. Now, because, again, of that tweet from Denver Police, the fact that they don't believe the suspect is there, you do see some law enforcement there kind of standing around, that they're not doing nothing. That is just kind of the standard response when this isn't a super active, they don't believe at this point that there is any suspect or any shooter inside where the students are currently on lockdown. So that is important to note, that you can kind of get a sense of these scenes from viewing them both on the ground with our team of reporters there, as well as from the air, that when law enforcement it appears at least that they're kind of in the investigation phase here. We can also tell you that when this happens, Denver police clearly and obviously is looking for that suspect in and around the area of East High School, and that's why you will most likely see road closures. You will see not a whole lot of movement there. As you can see, this is the shutdown there at Esplanade with Denver police. I believe that's their mobile command unit that is out there on the scene. So obviously a lot of people gathered around there, potential parents there on the scene, as we try to learn more for you, both from Denver police as well as Denver Public Schools. That's what we're trying to do here right now as we show you these live pictures here from the area. So, Micah, it's obviously just been a very busy morning, as now we're going on about 40 minutes since this information first started rolling in.
Yeah, and I will say that we do have another update from our Bayan Wang, who's on the scene. He's with another parent. Bayan, what are you learning now?
Well, yeah, we're seeing parents respond to the scene, obviously, dozens of them actually. We're seeing students watch from the outskirts, and we're also seeing the same pastors who prayed for Luis Garcia a few weeks ago show up back to the scene. I have Pastor Michael here. Pastor, you met with the mayor, you met with school officials, and you have a very close relationship with them. You must be exhausted yourself.
Yeah, well, we've been have a relationship with East High School for the past 30 years. We've been just right next door, and we've gone through the summer of violence in the 90s, and now all of a sudden we're seeing a stirring up of violence again, and we want to work with the staff of the school, the parents, and the students, and really try and come alongside, not only through prayer, but practical ways of how we can end this violence that's going on here.
We speak to police officers all the time and various policy makers about what they're doing to try to prevent these type of situations from happening. From a pastor's point of view, what are the societal ills happening in this community that contributes to incidents like these?
Well, I think the kids are just have no real clear-cut place for them to go and to have a safe environment for them to go to, and sometimes when they go home, the parents aren't there to really make and help them get through that. So we as a church want to come alongside a church in the city and help work with the students as well as the parents, and so that we're all on the same page of how to deal with these type of violent issues before the fact. We even want to get into middle school and elementary schools, so to try and deal with them before they get to the high school, when now you have to reverse everything that they've been involved in.
I saw you walking with another pastor towards the front of the school. Obviously, officers are letting you through. You guys have a relationship with them. What is your purpose here to be on scene today?
Well, we want to help even reach out to the parents, because as a parent of kids, you have to realize that it's a little hard to deal with when you know there's an active shooter in your kid's school area. So we want to be there for the parents. We want to be there for the teachers as well. We have relationship with them. We believe that the faith community as well as the school with the parents are the way to really help make these things change as we reach out to them.
And speaking of the parents, you spoke to a lot of the impacted families who are mourning the loss of one of the students here in a shooting just last month. They are exhausted, aren't they, Pastor?
Yeah, this is getting out of hand, and so we need to step it up. In other words, that we all need each other. The faith community, the school, the parents, and the students all need to come together and really get on the same page of how we're going to all stand together and stop this violence from happening. We've seen it in the 90s. We've been here for 30 years next to the school, and now we see this reoccurrence happening, and we need to come together and say no more.
It seems like it's every other week, every other month. Pastor, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I really appreciate
you.
it. So we're seeing a lot of parents, students, pastors. We really haven't gotten too much more information about the suspect. Again, he or she is not believed to be on the scene right now, but we're waiting to learn more. Back to you guys.
Our Bayan Wang there on the scene with live updates. Again, we're continuing to monitor social media here, including Denver police replying to a tweet saying there are no updates at this time. That was 2 minutes ago. I'm sure that's frustrating for parents, but let's get back out to the scene and Denver 7's Colette Bordelon.
student at East High School. This is Tyrone. He's a junior here. You said you were outside when everything happened. What did you hear? What did you see?
So basically, I just started hearing all like sirens, fire truck sirens, and then I started running towards the school because I was like over here. So I was like just running towards the school, and I look at the building. I just seen students started running. I seen like students like in the classroom started like ducking their head and all that. So me, I was like, cause I was just worrying about my little brother and my cousin, like, and like that's all I was just worried for, like my friends that go here, cause I'm on student council myself, and like we tried to do everything about what we could, like to do, like to help to do anything about this, but we still can't do nothing about it. But we.
Yeah, you were telling me you knew Luis Garcia,
Yes.
the 16-year-old who unfortunately died after being shot near the school in mid-February. You guys have been calling for change. What kind of change did you want to see, and why is this so jarring to have happen right now?
Because I want for change because there's students, especially like new students that want to come to East and like enjoy East, because if I have kids myself, I want them like to go like through the same experience that I went through, but not like this. Like I want them like to be safe. But if I can't feel safe, my students here and my peers don't feel safe. My teachers don't feel safe. Like my homie don't feel safe, and like that's what I don't want for, because I lost a couple of people over this. So like how the way I feel, I just feel hurt every time, especially like when I hear like a ding or one of my people. So like at the same time, I'm just thinking about where I was at that same time or where I could have been at, and I'm glad I wasn't at that same spot where I was at.
Yeah, he was outside the school at the time when all of this evidently unfolded. We're waiting right now for Denver police to brief us, get more details for you, for other students, for parents, of course, answer some of those questions. I do have a tweet up right now. Tweet me any questions you may have. I'll do my best to get them answered. We'll be live as soon as we can again. Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
Thank you, Colette. And that young person just said he's lost several people to violence. So young, already experiencing tremendous loss. So I appreciate him sharing his story. I do want to go to a new tweet that we have from Denver Public Schools updating us on the lockdown currently in place at East High School. We are learning 2 adult faculty members that has been confirmed were the 2 victims who were transported to area hospitals, Jason.
Yeah, the public school district then went on to say they're going to be doing a controlled release once the police department allows. They're working with RTD to get more buses out in order to get students home because, again, Denver police believe that suspect is no longer there on the scene. Now, we do want to bring in our chief investigative reporter, Tony Kovaleski. He's been working his sources. He's been working the phones while we're talking about this ongoing situation. Tony, what do you know?
Lots fluid, as you guys are making very clear. Here's what we're hearing from multiple ranking sources that I've been talking to on the phone and texting. One, they're looking for 1 suspect right now, apparently off campus. That's what we're hearing at this point. Conditions of the 2 faculty members you're talking about, I've tried to get some kind of understanding, serious, non-serious right now, not getting any confirmation on where that is. Obviously, you've reported they were transported. I'm picking up a lot of anger, a lot of frustration from Denver police sources because there have now been 4 incidents at East High School. 2020, they removed, the Denver Public School District School Board removed school resource officers. Obviously, there was nobody there to quickly potentially intervene, maybe have some impact. So I've heard from some that we knew this was going to happen. That's why they wanted resource officers. There is that anger, there is that frustration. They knew this potential, and especially with what's been happening in recent months, they highly suspected that, we needed more surveillance, more police officers on campuses, around campus. Obviously, a very, very confrontational issue, but that's the frustration we're picking up. On the suspect, they are working feverishly to try to connect some dots and information they're getting there. But right now, we're hearing that the concern is obviously the 2 that have been taken to Denver Health, and we're working as hard as we can to get more information on their condition. You can see what it's like outside of the school right now. Ambulances, Denver Health ambulances there, and they're piecing this together as we are. And getting more and more information. I will continue talking and tapping into those resources, and we will be back anytime there's new information.
Well, and Tony, this is a multi-agency response. Is that correct? It's not just DPD on the scene, or possibly that will be involved in this investigation.
Yeah, you've got DPD, you've got fire there. Obviously, they
Right.
responded. You see Denver Health ambulances to make sure, the district resources, the district security on scene, obviously.
Yeah.
So a lot of things happening right now, and we're trying to get to another key point here, Michael, which is motive. What,
Right.
two adult, two faculty members, why, what was there, and right now I don't have a motive, but that's one of the questions they're trying to answer.
Also, one of the questions, now we do have clarification that these were two adult faculty members that were the victims. We do know that it was one suspect from Denver police. We do not know if that suspect is a juvenile or an adult here. Obviously, we're talking about a school, so it could be either.
Right.
And that's something that police are going to have to look into.
And that's true. And I think early in any investigation, they know one suspect, but was that suspect connected to others? They're clearly actively looking for one. Could there be others? Yes. Very early, as we're hearing and seeing from everything happening. First priority is get the people that were shot to the hospital.
Right.
That distance from East High School to Denver Health, obviously short. Denver Health has some of the best surgeons in the state and in the country. So we're trying to get how serious, as I mentioned to you, and as they're working to help those two faculty members, police are trying to figure out exactly what happened.
From an investigation point of view, and we had touched on this earlier as we are still looking live from Air Tracker 7, whether it's the paramedics, the ambulance driving away, not speeding, not lights and sirens, at least not now, and the fact that you kind of see that gathering of law enforcement there. This appears from the air to be more in the investigative phase. Can you just kind of, for people that are saying, what's going on? This only happened an hour ago. Denver police say that the suspect is no longer on campus. So the fact that there's not a whole lot of commotion there can be a good thing?
That is a great sign right now that it's no longer active. But what is happening most likely inside, from our experience, is they're pulling everybody out that was there, that was close, interviewing them individually. What did you see? What did you hear? What time? What did the individual look like? Did you hear any kind of rant or rave about what might have led to the motive here? So individual interviews most likely going on in and around the school right now. If there's any video inside that they can tap into, obviously they're looking at that. They're checking every part of the school to make sure there are no other students. We've heard about the lockdown status. Gain control, get information, and then spread out to see what you can do. That's the standard operating procedure in a shooting like that, and you're seeing that with the visuals that we see here.
And when you mentioned specifically cameras, I'm just pulling up a story that we did. This was only in August of last year, where Denver Public Schools added 1,200 additional cameras as well as door sensors to campuses ahead of the new school year. Now, we don't have the specifics of how many may or may not have been done there at East, but a lot of these, as soon as an incident happens, you can close and lock the doors, the cameras turn on, and basically it's to keep everyone safe inside that building. Now, we know that they remain on lockdown at this point, but to your point, to try to figure out who this one suspect was, if there were any additional suspects, and that's all information that we hope to learn from Denver police. We've been standing by waiting for a news conference from Denver police to ask them those questions, and as soon as they step in front of the microphone, we will bring that to you. To that point, Tony, they're still gathering a lot of information before they step up to those microphones. We've all been in these situations covering these large incidents. Sometimes it can take a while, and I know a lot of people at home want more information. Trust me, so do we. But I guess the simple question is why? Why are we waiting so long for Denver police to give us more?
Well, it's a process of dotting I's and crossing T's, but let's just go back to the Boulder shooting, right?
Okay.
Just a few years back. Shooting happened mid-afternoon. They held a news conference at 6 o'clock that night, and they couldn't announce the number of people that were shot because gathering information is important. They want to get it right, and priority here is catching the person that did this, right?
Yeah.
Not informing the media. They've obviously let parents know they've got control of the school, but their number one priority right now is figuring out what happened and why, what was the motive, and making sure there's not any continuation.
Absolutely.
As we hit the top of the hour here at 11 o'clock, we want to thank you so much for staying with us here on Denver 7 News. We continue to follow breaking news. I'm Jason Grenauer here with Micah Smith, our chief investigator, Tony Kowaleski. We have crews all over the area responding to a shooting that happened at East High School this morning. We will walk you through what happened. At 10 o'clock, the school was placed on lockdown. At 10:05, Denver police tell us that there was a shooting at the school. We've learned 2 adult victims that turned out to be faculty members there at East High School were taken to the hospital. Denver police does not believe the suspect is still there on campus. And Micah, the school district, we're still waiting, but they're working on this controlled release of students.
Yes, they are working on a controlled release. They are asking parents that if you are picking up your child, you need to meet at 17th and Esplanade. Students who drove to school will be escorted to their cars in the parking lot and can leave, and students who rode the bus will be held until their bus arrives. RTD also sending in additional help there. But again, this is a controlled release, and they're waiting for the go-ahead from DPD. And Tony, we know that DPD is going to wait and make sure everything is secure before children are allowed to leave that building.
Certainly. My texts are still coming in. I just
Right.
got one from a source inside the school district asking about any word on motive, any word on condition, and I'm getting nothing yet. But that's the question that's being asked throughout the school right now, throughout the law enforcement community as they're responding. What's the motive? You know, you've got
Right.
two adult faculty members that were shot. You would think maybe there is a motive here. It doesn't, just thinking out loud, appear to be a random attempt. No school resources officers on the campus when it happened. That's part of the delay here because officers responded obviously to the call of a shooting at the school a few minutes to get there. And so we're piecing it together, they're piecing it together. Obviously parents are concerned, but you can tell based upon the scene outside that things have calmed down. They're now in the information mode.
And we just learned that we do have a media briefing starting right now. Let's get to
Before we get
Mayor
started,
Hancock there speaking.
My name is Michael Hancock, the mayor of the city and county of Denver. What we're going to do today is to ask Chief Ron Thomas to give a situational report on the incident here at East High School. And then we'll bring up the superintendent, Dr. Marrero, who will give a
Anything you can
situational
share, motive,
update on the
condition
school
of two?
and what we're going to be doing going forward here at East as well as other schools throughout the district. There will be an orderly timed release of students in just a few moments out of East High School. But we want to also give you an update that what we do know today is that a male student who was under certain agreement to be patted down each day here at East High School shot and injured 2 staff members at East. What we know about them right now is that they're both, one's in surgery right now, the other one is stable and able to talk and to give statements in terms of what happened. We know that one other student unrelated to the shooting was transported because of an allergic reaction and a visceral reaction to the tension of the moment. Nothing trumps the safety of our young people in this building and the faculty and staff. And we feel for them right now. This should never, as a parent, I can tell you, never be a concern of a parent, whether or not their kids are safe in their building. And so Chief Thomas and Dr. Marrero and DPS Board of Education and I are committed to making sure we do everything we can to keep our young people and the faculty and staff of these buildings safe. Let me turn it over now to Chief Ron Thomas to give a situational report and give you more details on what happened today, and then we'll have our superintendent, Dr. Marrero, share as well. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. So what I can share at this point in time is that at approximately 9:50 this morning, a call was aired of a shooting here at East High School. Officers and medical professionals from Denver Health Medical arrived on scene very, very quickly and discovered 2 adult males that had suffered gunshot wounds. Those 2 individuals were transported emergent to Denver Health Medical. One is currently in serious but stable condition. The other is currently in surgery, listed in critical condition. What I can share as it relates to the incident that caused those 2 injuries is there was a student, as was alluded to, And as part of a safety plan, they were undergoing a search. During that search, obviously a weapon was retrieved, a handgun was retrieved, and several shots were fired, striking those two individuals. That individual then fled the school, but we do know who that individual is, and a search is underway to try to locate that particular individual. At this time, I'll turn it over to Dr. Moreira from Denver Public Schools, who will talk about the school's response.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, Mayor. Deeply sorry that we're here. I really feel strongly that we shouldn't be here, but here we are. My prayers to the East community and, of course, our two staff members who are in the hospital at the moment. In terms of what we're doing at East, Mayor Hancock and Chief Thomas just explained in terms of what happened. I don't want to reiterate the happenings of earlier today. We will have an organized release. The communications should be going out to the parents right now, but also tomorrow and the next day, meaning the remainder of the week, East will not be in session. In terms of what we can expect at East from here until the end of the school year, in collaboration with Chief Thomas and support of our mayor, also communicated this to the Board of Education, that we will have 2 armed officers here at East until the end of the school year. We're looking forward to expanding that conversation to see how we can reestablish a relationship with presence at our schools, in particular our high schools. In terms of the Board of Education, I believe that they're going to make themselves available tomorrow in lieu of our board meeting. That'll be an opportune time to have a conversation in terms of what safety looks like in our schools from here on out. En breve, en español, lo que pasó está el día de hoy, no sé si fue por la mañana. Un estudiante que nosotros recibimos en enero de otro distrito llegó armado, 2 oficiales o personal de la escuela se confrontaron y él disparó a los 2. Los 2 adultos están en el hospital y ahora vamos a comenzar, los niños se van a ir piso a piso a la casa. Mañana no va a escuela aquí en East y el viernes tampoco. La semana van a tener libre. Vamos a tener 2 miembros de la policía aquí hasta el fin de la temporada, hasta junio. Y ojalá podamos hacer eso en la otra escuela. Yo creo que tengo el apoyo de la Junta de Educación, pero mañana a las 4:30, la Junta de Educación está disponible para contestar o explicar el plan sobre la policía. Muchas gracias.
Let me just say 2 things. One is an unrelated situation. Paramedics were in the building when the shooting occurred, and they were able to immediately begin to administer support and treatment to the individuals who were wounded, and that I think will play a huge role in their ultimate recovery from this. And again, we'll keep them in our prayers. But we want to thank our first responders, our EMTs, our firefighters, and certainly our police department who were on the scene within minutes of this incident occurring. And then finally, before we go to question and answer, to the parents, I want to share with you that I've had a chance to talk to a couple of them who are here, obviously. They're frustrated and they're angry, as they should be. And again, those of us who are parents and have young people in this building, we certainly understand their frustration and their pain. The faculty and staff are concerned. We must continue to work on addressing safety in our school buildings and in our city in general, and we will. We have never stopped with that. The police department have been working to have a presence outside of this building for quite some time. I think it's clear now that we need to do even more interdiction with our police officers inside the buildings in these type of situations. So right now, those are circumstances we know with regards to the condition of the victims. We are looking for the suspect. We will find that suspect, and we will hold that suspect accountable for his actions this morning in placing everyone in danger and certainly wounding the 2 staff members who were doing their job and trying to keep everyone safe at the time. So we'll open up for question and answer. Please ask directly who you're talking to so we can get them to the mic. Yes, sir.
For Chief Thomas. Chief Thomas,
Yeah,
could you
okay.
please?
We have brief time because we want to make sure we get this order released. Go ahead.
Chief Thomas, can you please give us more details? You said the suspect was being patted down when the shooting happened. Did the person grab their gun, or walk us more through that if you can, sir?
Well, a lot of those details will be So a lot of those details will be available to us after a more in-depth investigation, but what I can share with you is this particular student actually had a safety plan that was in place where they were to be searched at the beginning of the school day every day. They had been searched previously to today and had never had a weapon on them before. However, today, during that search which took place away from other students, away from other school staff, they did produce that weapon and fire shots.
And where did that patting down take place? Is that at the entrance of the school or where in the building?
It occurred in the front of the school, in the office area, again, away from students and other school staff.
Can we say if they were teachers? Are we just going with faculty members? Do we have any specifics on what their role was inside of East High School?
So they were deans, they were school administrators.
School administrators, thank
Yes.
you. Oh, who was doing the patting down?
Again, it was the school administrators.
And Chief, in terms of the suspect, is this a current student at East High School, and is this person under the age of 18?
Yes, under the age of 18, current student of East High School.
Chief, how many students at East High have been patted down with this?
I couldn't share that with you. I mean, I imagine that there are students that have various safety plans in place that result in certain interactions with school staff.
What leads, this is Noel to Denver Post, what leads to a school safety plan? Like, how does a student get in that situation?
Yeah, I think
it's particular for each individual.
yeah,
student.
certainly it's particular to each individual
There's been past
student. Yes.
trouble though that is indicated.
Not at liberty to share. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't want to share that again. That's, you know, we're talking about juveniles. We're talking about students in school that have been allowed to participate in school activities.
Chief, the parents might want to know why they can't be given more details as to what qualifies a student for a safety plan. Or is the district willing to share that for the city?
Sorry, we cannot. Bound by FERPA, we cannot disclose any particulars about any student individual plan, whether it's academic or behavioral.
It's not that specific student, but in general, like what happens, like how a safety plan works and what gets you there?
Sure, it's very nuanced and it's particular. They're individuals, so it's based on past behavior, and that's as far as I can feel comfortable saying. So it's as a result of previous behavior.
Is there something that you can say though to parents who are out there who are listening to this and they hear the word nuance and they can't get details, but they want details regarding their children's safety?
Sure, it's past educational and also behavioral experiences that each individual student may have exhibited in the past.
Is this a system that takes place at more than just East High School, this safety plan that you have? Can you tell me how many schools do this in the district?
This is common for all schools in all districts. It's part of what we have in terms of making sure that we can support the needs and behavioral needs of students. So it's very common across the nation.
Was the weapon recovered within the school? Has the handgun been recovered, or does the suspect still have it?
My understanding is that the weapon has not been recovered, but again, we do know who the individual is. We do know where they live, but we are familiar with associates of this individual, and so we do believe we will be successful in finding that individual and that weapon very soon.
Is the area where this took place, is that under video surveillance? Is that something that you guys would have video of that area?
I'm not sure if there was video in this specific
Would Dr.
location.
Marrero know that? Is that an area where there is video surveillance of that area, Dr. Marrero?
There could be. I know the team is evaluating, and I also know that there has been confirmation that the student left the grounds, so that leads me to say that yes, there is. And I have to apologize. I don't want to conclude this press conference because I want to support the students who are about to be dismissed. So, pardon.
Can we get his name? Name of the suspect? Why aren't you releasing the name of the suspect if you're searching for him?
Because he's a juvenile.
But is there a danger to the public?
Okay, so you have been watching live city officials, the police chief, the mayor, and the Denver Public Schools Superintendent Alex Marrero. They're giving a live news conference, giving us some of the information that we've been waiting on since right after 10 o'clock when East High School was first put on lockdown. A shooting, 2 faculty members taken to the hospital. That's what we knew. What just came out from the news conference, a lot more about this suspect, an 18-year-old male student there at East High School. or under the age of 18, I should say. So a juvenile, that's part of the reason they couldn't tell us a ton of new information, that a weapon was discovered during a standard daily pat-down of that student as part of a so-called safety plan. That was when those shots were fired. Two school administrators were hit and taken to the hospital. A lot more to dig in through, Micah.
Absolutely. We also learned that one student was taken to the hospital as well. That was more so due to that student's reaction to what was happening around them. But we are also learning from, I believe it was Chief Ron Thomas from Denver Police Department, that the shooting didn't necessarily happen in front of a lot of students. It was toward the office area and mainly just faculty members. And again, those two administrators, one of those administrators in surgery right now in critical condition, the other able to speak and talk about what happened at East High School this morning.
And we've learned that a handgun was the weapon that was involved, that the suspect fled the school, that police know who this individual is. They did not put out that information or release any identity, but a male currently enrolled student at East High School under the age of 18, police continuing to look for him, but they do know who that individual is. And again, I think one of the most revealing parts of all this, or kind of the most interesting or in fact shocking thing that came out of this, was this so-called safety plan that every day upon entrance to the school, this student would be patted down. They had never produced a weapon before. This morning, they did. That's when those shots were fired. We do want to bring in our chief investigative reporter, Tony Kovaleski. He's here at the desk with us. Tony, you're continuing to work your sources. What else?
Well, let's unpack what you're saying there, Jason. There's a plan in place. There's some sort of risk identified with this student. They had to pat him down every day. Who did the patting down? Well, we know it's not a school resource officer because they're not on East High School or anywhere at DPS. So likely another teacher. And bottom line, I'm hearing from a source at City Hall, removing SROs was a big mistake, quote, big mistake. A lot of focus there.
Right.
There will be a lot to unpack there. We do want to get back out now because the mayor is continuing to take more questions. So let's go back out live.
Will help in their recovery. Okay.
Chief, is the pat down something that a school resource officer would under, if they still existed in the schools, would have been doing rather than the dean?
Not necessarily, no. So I think that we don't want to have negative interactions with students and officers. So no, I don't think that it would have been appropriate for officers to have done that type of activity.
What would you say to the East High School community about safety?
What can I say?
Yeah, well, what can you say? Again, this is another situation.
Yes, a very troubling situation. This school has gone through a tremendous time over the last year or so, and we, I think, have been responsive to that. We've had a significant presence in the school since the first incident that happened just over a month ago. We've had a significant presence outside of the school, both during the beginning of the school day and at the end of the school day. And as was shared before, we will have 2 officers assigned within the school for the entirety of the school day for the remainder of the school year.
Had this student previously been expelled from East High School?
No.
Let's do this. I know that we wanted to make sure that we got as current information as possible to the parents, to the community. We are looking for this individual, but we know now he's an African-American juvenile. He wears an afro with a hoodie on that had an astronaut on it. If anyone has any information, we ask that you notify us as soon as possible so that we can apprehend this individual. We ask people to be careful not to approach him. Obviously, he is armed and dangerous and willing to use the weapon, as we learned this morning. But we're going to do everything we can to keep the community and the parents up to date as we know it. At the same time, we're going to continue our engagement with Denver Public School officials to continue to work to keep these buildings safe and students and faculty and staff in these buildings safe. But we're going to get the chief back to his team and command post, and we'll do everything we can to keep you all up to date as well so you can help us get the information out. Thank you all.
Okay, so that was Denver Mayor Michael Hancock stepping back up to the podium, answering a few more questions. But our team is throughout the area, really, and the scene, trying to get more information, more depth, and more context for you as we continue to cover this.
Yeah, absolutely. We have our Jessica Crawford there on the scene speaking with parents and students. If we can, we'll go straight to her. Jessica, what are you hearing from parents right now?
Well, Micah, right now I am at 17th and Esplanade. That is the place where the school is doing that release here, probably in just a few minutes. So a lot of parents are kind of waiting here in the area. I'm right now standing with a grandparent, and you are not happy with this at all. You're quite emotional about it, and just the frequency of the shootings that have been taking place.
I'm very upset. I just feel like we as a society are not doing enough. We don't have any police in the school. There's no metal detectors. I'm tired of hearing there's not money for that. Don't tell me that we don't have money for that. I don't buy that. It's our kids' safety that we're talking about. Look at all the number of students that we have in here. I'm not the only one. Every single parent, every grandparent here, just what you go through in your mind when you don't know what's happening, you don't know where the shooter is, you're not sure where your kids are, where your grandkids are. We have to make changes.
And you're a grandmother. You have two granddaughters there. You have a senior, you have a junior, and you said that you were messaging with them, and they're
Yes,
scared.
My daughter-in-law was and while they were messaging, one of my granddaughters was in a room that has no windows, absolutely nothing. When she texted, my son told him to make sure they barricaded the door, but she hyperventilates, and it's just, I mean, how frightening is that for a child? How much emotional trauma must our children take in this day and age? Then we're supposed to send them off to college where there's more mass shootings? Where does this stop? There's not enough punishment for the people that are doing it. We need laws to change.
And you said that you have a few ideas about how things could get better. You mentioned possibly the use of metal detectors, other things that you would like to see.
We need more security. And as far as the mental health of kids, we need a mental health program, but we need something that's going to be sufficient. And they give the kids a number to call that's if they threaten or want to threaten anybody, and then they say they can't track the number down. Now, how ridiculous is this? You're going to tell me in this day and age, we have Homeland Security, we have the FBI, we have everything, and they can't track the number that makes the call? So whose rights are more important? The person that's going to go and do mass shootings or shootings than the people like kids, innocent kids in a school? It makes no sense to me, or I doubt to any other parent.
And she is one of many parents that are out there. We're seeing a lot of parents that are have tears in their eyes. A lot of parents that are really concerned. Any message that you would want to send to Denver Public Schools right now about what you would like to see changed ultimately here?
It isn't just Denver Public Schools, it's all the schools. We have a responsibility to all our children, from the youngest age to the highest age. We have a responsibility to maintain safety and take it seriously. And if it means reforming laws, and I don't care, put parents on board, do whatever it takes. But until we reform some of the issues, like putting metal detectors, putting policemen in the school, having police go around the school more. We had a shooting not too long ago that was here. That really affected my granddaughters. They were extremely upset about that. The gun laws and how these kids are getting these guns. Where does it change?
Well, thank you so much for speaking with us. That's Sharon DeGrode. She is concerned, sharing a lot of the different worries that many parents are having at this time. And again, right now I'm at 17th and Esplanade. This is a place where the kids who had rides home or walked home are going to be released. The police said that they have not been released yet at this time. So parents really are just kind of in a holding pattern and waiting right now. But we'll continue to keep you updated here throughout the day. Live from Denver, I'm Jessica Crawford, Denver 7. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Jessica. And I just want to take a moment to just recognize that grandmother's pain. Mm-hmm. You could hear it in her voice, you could see it on her face, and she said something that stuck with me. Mm-hmm. She said, how much emotional trauma must our children take? I think she is speaking for so many parents, grandparents, family members of these children, these kids that that are just trying to go to high school every day.
And as of this moment, 11:25, East High School remains on lockdown. We've been talking about that release to happen, but it still has not happened yet. So parents, stand by. As soon as we get more information, we will bring it to you. Now, we just got some more information, a statement from Governor Jared Polis, who had originally just retweeted the information to try to get this out, but he has now released a statement, and we're just going to read this for you. We are closely monitoring this tragic situation. Our students should and must be able to attend school without fear for their safety. Their parents deserve the peace of mind that their children are safe in the classrooms. He went on to say teachers should be able to work safely and without harm. We also reflect that today is the anniversary of the Boulder King Super shooting, and yet again, the scourge of gun violence continues to plague us. The governor went on to say in this statement, we appreciate the quick action taken by East High School faculty and staff to secure the school and make sure students were safe. And this is an ongoing situation. Again, that statement just in from Governor Jared Polis.
And we do have our Brian Sanders on standby. He again has been speaking with parents as they arrive to the scene. We want to get out to him right now. Brian, what are parents telling you?
Micah, we're with another group of parents who are waiting right out in front of the front entrance of the school. We're at 16th and Esplanade, right here with the crime scene tape, still blocking parents off, and a very what I would call surreal scene with students you can see in the front windows of their classrooms at this school, looking outside, seeing the police response, seeing the crime scene tape, and obviously parents here have just been trying to get in touch with their kids through text message. And I'm joined now by Laura, who has a sophomore at the school. Can you just tell us where you were when you got the news and how you've been in contact with your son?
Yeah, so I got the news. I was working from home, and we got an email from the school in all capital letters saying lockdown. Then we got another email stating that someone had been injured. Then I turned on the news and saw that, you guys were all starting to come over here and you were reporting it. And so I rushed over here for the 4th time this year to get my son out of a lockdown.
What was your reaction knowing that this is the 4th time you've had violence at the campus?
I'm pissed. I'm very mad. These kids spent so much time and energy protesting. I was there with them. They spent so much time and energy, remembering Luis's loss. And what's going on? Like, why is it just landing nowhere? And nothing's being done. My son is breaking down. He's saying he doesn't want to die. It's just ugly.
You said your son seems to stay collected on the outside. What do you feel like is really going on in his mind?
Well, he's scared. He doesn't want to show it, but when we do go to restaurants and I'll get an email from the school, be like, another incident happened, but it was fine, it was resolved. He'll just look at me and then, with a blank look on his face, and he'll just break down and he just starts to cry. And I'm like, why are you crying? And he's like, because I don't want to die, Mom. I have a whole life to live. Why do I have to die? It's just not a good situation, and it just needs to be resolved. I don't know what else to do.
And this is your only son?
This is my only son. And what if he gets into a fire? I don't know. What if he's in the wrong place at the wrong time and he gets a shot, and it's got to stop. I can't take it anymore. We're parents. We need to do something.
And this is, your son is involved, right? He's on the sports team.
Yes, he's on the high school golf team. He's very active. He's, he comes to school regularly, and he's now asking if he can be homeschooled. He's an introvert, and so coming to East High School has helped him with his introvertness. He's a lot more extroverted now. But for him to be like, you know what, I'd rather, eliminate my social skills to be safe is not a healthy way to live life.
What has your communication been like with him through text message today?
It's been very active. At first, he said he was at the assembly, and then he said, 2 deans been shot, allegedly is what he said. And, I rushed here. 100 miles an hour going down the side streets and just once again seeing helicopters, news, police, yellow tape, ambulances, people coming out, in hazmat suits. What is going on? It's too much.
And can you repeat from the producers just gave us some information from Denver Police of hopefully the safe student release that will be happening very shortly. Have you received any more information about the student release?
No, my son says he's still in the classroom, that they were releasing the kids who were having like panic attacks first, and then they're going to release the rest of the bodies. So they're going to be down here on 17th in Detroit.
Okay. Thank you for your time, and we hope that a safe reunion with your son, and that everything goes well from here on out. We know that school will be canceled the rest of the week. We heard that from Superintendent Marrero. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
And our thoughts are with your son.
Thank you.
And
I really appreciate all the coverage too.
Thank you. Thank you. I do want to send it back to the studio, Micah and Jason, with that new information from Denver Police.
Absolutely, Brian. And we are confirming now that they have, DPS has received clearance to go ahead and release students. DPD says it is safe for students to leave the building. So any moment now, we will start to see those students leaving the building. And we did just hear from that parent that Brian was speaking with, that the kids that are having panic attacks, that are really having a tough time with this, are the ones being released first.
Yeah, I mean, and it brings us back to what that grandmother said. How much emotional trauma must our children take between the swatting calls, the actual shootings outside of the school, and we'll get more in depth in that here in just a moment. But yeah, as we now talk about this controlled release, it will be controlled, and eventually we will be seeing, as you can see there now, a large gathering of people there. So we're going to start seeing students come out. So far we've been able to, and there they go. Some of the students now being released from East High School, this part of the controlled release. Parents should have been notified through Denver Public Schools, and that you can meet and pick up your children 17th and Esplanade. There is still a large police presence in the area. At this point, from Denver Police, this suspect, the person who shot 2 faculty members, is still on the loose. They are still searching for him. They know who he is, but they have not arrested that individual just yet. But again, we are watching live along with you as students are now being released as part of that controlled release from East High School, and then the high school will be closed for the rest of the week.
And we want to mention, we understand the parents that are very concerned and just can't get to the school right now. Your child may be a bus rider and you just can't figure out a way to get there right now. Buses are coming, and the students that ride the bus will be held inside the school until that bus arrives. RTD on the way to help as well, to make sure as many students as possible can get out of the school, get back home, get to where they're most comfortable in their most comfortable, safe bubble as soon as possible, even if they are a bus rider.
And again, those 2 victims were 2 adults. They were 2 faculty members. They were 2 school administrators. We got that as part of the latest news conference. We also learned kind of what happened here with this suspect. This under 18 male student enrolled at East High School was part of a so-called safety plan.
Right.
Every day this student had to be patted down by a member of faculty or staff, and this specific morning, a weapon, a handgun, was found. That's when those shots were fired. Now, we've been digging into the information about this, and when it comes to these safety plans, according to Denver Public Schools and their safety plans, any search of a student should be done away from the larger school student body. And that's what we heard from that news conference, that this was not in the middle of a classroom or in the middle of a busy hallway near the front office of the school, which could have ultimately helped. One additional piece of information that we're still trying to learn more about, the mayor saying that paramedics were already in the school and may have assisted in that quick response to those 2 faculty members. Okay, we want to bring in Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kowaleski, continuing to work his sources. We're all trying to learn more as we've now been on the air now for about an hour and a half. Tony, what do you have? What's the latest?
Text and phone calls continue to come in, but we've talked throughout the morning a lot of frustration at City Hall with Denver Police about the fact that there wasn't a school resource officer. That stopped in 2020 after the school board made that move. Let's think about what you just talked about. You have a student that has a plan where he has to be patted down every single day. You don't have a school resource officer. So if they find a weapon, they're likely not to have a weapon. I don't believe those faculty members had weapons. So now you're out of the balance. You don't have an equal, all right? So this student was identified needing to have a pat down every day. No school resource officer able to give that pat down who would have had a weapon. Instead, a faculty member is assigned with that. Think about that, folks. Is that where we are right now? And that's something the school board is now going to have to address. We also been looking for the past several weeks. We had sources saying Enrollment at East High School dropped significantly after that third incident. We did an open records request to the Denver Public Schools asking for differences before the incident and then after. It was true that attendance had dropped. We had heard parents were keeping, you heard the one mother there saying about keeping kids home for their learning at home. We saw a drop, a significant drop. No, we did not report because it could have varied, but that's a concern, and it's a concern today. Think about when that word came out this morning, that there was a shooting at East High School. Think about a parent wondering what, where, was it a faculty member? And then think about the family of all the faculty members when the word came out, it is faculty. We need to keep in mind, there are 2 faculty members right now at Denver Health, one in surgery and critical condition, the other serious but stable and able to talk. They went to work today to help keep that campus safe. Yeah. One of them, maybe both of them, were involved in that search. And a lot of frustration. I talked to former Police Chief Paul Pazin a few moments ago, and he said he fought hard. He told the school board this was a mistake. He was concerned something like this would happen. Unfortunately, now it's happened.
Well, and to be fair, I want to say this to make it clear, because I've talked to many parents too. The decision to remove SROs was not done in a vacuum. There are parents who did support that move. Now, will this change minds? It certainly could. We know there are many parents, whether you were for SROs or not, again, layered situation, we can get to that a little bit later on. Parents are angry. And so much so, they're angry right now. They're ready to march right now. I want to get to this picture right here. This is from the area where our Jessica Crawford is. She's hearing that parents are about to march to administration, to administrative offices, to express their frustration with the Denver School Board. Not just the school board, though, district leaders, because they are saying, right now you're telling me you're unable to keep my child safe. So with that in mind, these parents, as soon as they get their child, Jessica is hearing that they are going to take their child and they are going to head to administrative offices to let the school board know, to let district leaders know how they're feeling. And we also have a march plan by Moms Demanding Action at the Capitol today at 1:30 in 2 hours. So we could possibly see demonstrations across the city today led by parents who are mad.
And how many other students are like this that are required to have a pat down every day? What did the student have to do before to get into this box of every day of going to school? Some administrators, some teachers got to check and make sure that they're safe to enter. As a parent, as a loved one of faculty there, I'd want to know how many of these students there are, because gosh darn it, I expect my kid to be safe. I expect my loved one to be safe.
And that, of course, will be part of this continuing conversation. The superintendent during the earlier news conference saying that they will be expanding that conversation about police or security presence at high schools, specifically that the Board of Education will talk tomorrow about safety. We don't know if that's a specific meeting or if they plan on talking to us, because clearly the media and parents, speaking on parents' behalf, have a lot of questions about what led up to this, what are you, and most importantly, what are you going to do moving forward? And as we talk about parents potentially marching, we were just talking about students marching from East High School to the Capitol. I just remember, it stuck with me. One of the students had made a sign that said, "The scariest thing at my school should be my grades." Making light, obviously, of that, but this is a very serious situation that these students go to school and are scared. We've heard so far from parents and grandparents, again, as we once again show you some video from earlier, these students being released as part of this controlled release from East High School after this shooting. We heard from a student who was outside of the school, saw the first responders, the lights, the sirens, and was scared, and told our Colette Bordelon just how scared they were. We have not spoken yet to a student who was inside, and I'm sure that those stories are going to be absolutely emotional, potentially heartbreaking even to hear from a parental perspective, sending your kids to school thinking that they'll be safe.
I just got a text in from a ranking City Hall source that provided some background information. I am told that the school district has been having discussions about getting law enforcement back into the schools for several months. The issue has been whether you call them SROs or not. And so, you know, this has been part of the issue. They've identified that there's concern, but I guess the question now is why has it taken so long? This is the fourth incident, right? We're talking about, does it take 5, 6, or 7? And again, there are different perspectives, Micah, and that's fair. But we know the results today. There was a student that had to be patted down. They found a gun on him, and shots were fired. And now there are 2 faculty members at Denver Health, one in critical condition in surgery. So it must be addressed. Something must be answered now. And I think you're seeing from parents, you're hearing from parents that now is the time, no more.
Well, and I think also we're hearing from parents who are speaking about legislation. I mean, they're talking about gun control. So as much as we're hearing about SROs right now, they're also calling on our lawmakers to enact laws for gun control. Not all. Again, I don't want to speak for all parents, but we are seeing calls for action at every level. So not just school district, we're talking lawmakers as well. Both of you were mentioning this school plan that the suspected shooter was under, and we heard during our media briefing a couple of reporters really press Dr. Marrero, Mayor Hancock, and Chief Thomas about that, wanting to know more about that school plan and what leads a child to be under such a plan and need that pat down. I think that's something that really does demand answers here over the next few days, and hopefully we can hear more. Maybe not to that specific plan. We know the law. We know you cannot speak about a child's record, especially in school, but I do think that you were right there, Jason, when you were talking about that plan and breaking some of that information down for us. I think that leads to more questions, though, and Tony said it as well. How many students are under these types of plans?
And how one led to another. Obviously, the fact that this student was under this type of safety plan, this daily pat down, you know, they were still enrolled in the school. So it wasn't as simple as this student can no longer attend because they are such a great or grave threat to school safety that they can't even come in the building. Yet, when we have to report this, and we have to tell parents that this person was known to Denver public schools as a potential threat, because you have to be in order to be under one of these safety plans to actually be patted down. And I can only imagine that the outrage, both from parents as well as students, will likely grow hearing that information, hearing the fact that not only is this the 4th incident at East High School, not only is it a shooting at a place where so many parents and students are frustrated and scared in some cases to go to school, but also the fact that this person was known. And we talk about this trying to take it out of just the school context for a moment. Our chief investigative reporter, Tony Kowaleski, joins us. Tony, we talk about this a lot, that offenders that are known to law enforcement, just to kind of just put it in that bubble. In this situation, it was a student, a potential threat under a safety plan that was known to district leadership. Is that going to cause even more frustration out there?
Well, frustration on a lot of levels. You talked about parents, you talked about students, but think about the faculty members that are tasked with doing the search every day. Well, if you search every day and there's not a weapon, no big deal. But you've got to think ahead. So if I find a weapon, what do I do? That's what happened today. You go to school to become a teacher because you want to help kids. You want to educate them. You want to inform them. Is this the role of an educator? Or is this the role of somebody who should be trained in security? Those questions are out there, and I think the school board now must answer that, because think about all the faculty members. Somebody else is going to have to step up tomorrow or when the school reopens next week and do this job. Are you going to want to step up and do that when you're not equally armed if you do find something? A lot of questions, but I'm sure the frustration is parents, students, and faculty members, and all the loved ones connected with those.
Right. I do want to say, even before SROs were removed from DPS schools, there were just 18 officers across 200 DPS schools. So if SROs are reintroduced, what schools, where will they be? What takes priority? There are so many questions, and again, I know we have a lot of layers to unpack with this. We do have some brand new information in, though. Our Veronica Acosta is actually on the scene at the hospital where the victims are. Veronica, you're learning new information about the victims and how they're doing.
We are. So a source telling Denver 7, those 2 adult male administrators, they were actually brought to Denver Health here where we are this morning One of them currently in surgery. We know the other is up and talking to police, giving them some statements this morning. We also know that paramedics, they were at East High for some reason. They were able to help those two male administrators right after they were shot. You can see Denver Health here behind me. Just moments ago, not too long ago, there was a Denver Public Schools vehicle here, no longer here this morning, but those paramedics, they were here earlier, kind of moving in and out of the front entrance of the hospital here where the ambulance entrance is. So again, we do know those two adult male administrators were brought here after that shooting. One of those administrators, again, currently in surgery, the other up and talking to police, giving them statements about what happened. So of course, we'll keep you updated as we learn more about the health of those two administrators and what's going on. Guys, back to you.
Veronica Acosta live outside of Denver Health, which we do want to point out is a level 1 trauma center, and in really terrible situations, in fact, like when a police officer may have been, shot on the line of duty, that is where they take them. The most serious cases do go there because those surgeons are there and they are trained. Veronica, thank you. We will get back to you as soon as we get more information from you. Now, you heard from Veronica about those school administrators. Obviously, when we're talking about what takes priority, it is their health right now. Two male administrators, as we've learned, the individuals, at least one of who was carrying out that pat down, that daily pat down as part of this safety plan that this student was enrolled in. This suspected shooter, who police again know who this person is, but at this point from Denver police, we do not know anything else. We don't have a name. We don't have much of a description other than the fact that he was wearing a hoodie with an astronaut on it at that point. That's why you will most likely be seeing a large police presence in that area. You're looking live right now from Air Tracker 7. These are students who are being let out as part of a controlled release as we continue to monitor this breaking news, what's happening over at East High School.
And I just got an update from our producers. We have parents right now, I want to pull up the live picture, confronting DPD's chief, that's Ron Thomas, right now, demanding answers about student and school safety. Let's see if we can hear anything. Maybe we can possibly tune in. I'm not sure we have the sound there, but you can see parents are angry.
Don't yell at a kid who's just gone through this. Don't yell at a kid who's just gone through this. No, you will not yell at a kid who's just gone through this.
That's feminine energy you yelling at.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of finger pointing, there is a lot of anger going on. The Denver police chief was there, Ron Thomas, there may be some school administrators there, and now this is kind of, it appears to have devolved here as they're trying to break up that situation, because it just shows you the level of frustration, especially as we move throughout this morning, now that the students are being released. Originally it's concern obviously for the students inside, and that has kind of shifted, and we'll get a much more of a sense from our reporters there on the ground of how this has really turned into a very frustrating situation. Absolutely. As parents wait to be reunited with their children.
And we can see Ron Thomas is actually just out of frame. I did see the chief there. We have the police officer that is on the scene really trying to help de-escalate the situation. But as we mentioned, Jason, just a few minutes ago, tensions are running high. These parents are angry. More than that, they're frustrated and they're scared. They're very scared. Our Veronica Acosta, who is at the hospital, does have somebody who can speak and give us an update there. As you can see, she's putting the microphone on. Let's go ahead and tune in for this update from the hospital. Again, 2 administrators are the victims in this shooting.
Gabby, we're about to.
Yes, I can, guys. Just
who am I looking at?
Here with Dr.
Right. I need a focal.
Chief Medical Officer here for Denver Health. And she
I'll
came
wait
out
for
to give us a quick
questions.
update.
Tell us what you guys can say about the condition of those 2 male administrators inside.
So we received 2 males in serious condition today, and one of them is in the operating room, as you heard earlier from the mayor, and the other one is being cared for in serious condition.
Where were they shot exactly? Do we know that information?
I don't have that information.
And what can you tell us about that second male who we were told is up and talking this morning, talking to police?
Still in serious condition, and our level 1 trauma center is responding as we do for these types of traumas, and we are equipped to respond quickly, and that is what we are here for.
Do you have any idea what the mayor talked about when he came to see who was shot?
I don't know that. I think he was responding to the information he had from the medical team.
To be a level 1 trauma patient, what does that entail?
Well, it means when we are a level 1 trauma center, it means that we can respond quickly. We have all the appropriate specialties on site to be able to respond to anything from a head trauma to a serious chest wound to gunshot wounds, and that is what we've been doing for the last 160 years.
Can you describe how the victims were once they came here, or what kind of state that they were in?
Well, they had been shot, and they now need to have exploratory work to find out, to repair the injuries that have been done.
Where exactly were they injured at?
Well, I don't have all that information right now.
All right, guys, that's about all the information we can release.
Connie, can you spell your first and last name and your title, please?
Connie Savor-Price, Connie.
Okay, so that is the chief medical officer from Denver Health. Again, a level 1 trauma center where there's 2 male school administrators were taken after being shot this morning just before 10 a.m. out at East High School.
Yeah, and she said she could not tell us much, but we do note, again, 2 males in serious condition. She also discussed possibly doing some exploratory procedures just to see how much damage there is and what can be repaired immediately as these 2 victims move forward. We do want to check in with our chief investigator right here, Tony Kovaleski. Tony, you have an update for us.
Let's take a moment and give credit where credit's due. If I had a loved one shot, there is no better place, no more qualified surgeons than Denver Health.
Okay.
That hospital has the best history, not only in the state, but one of the best in the country for being able to help and handle these situations. So I am sure it's all hands on deck, and you heard that update there. But credit to the surgeons, credit to Denver Health and the paramedics for acting quickly. We heard in the news conferences that paramedics were actually at the school at the time of the shooting, and their quick actions may have helped improve outcomes for both of those faculty members. So congratulations to the heroes there, as we're still unpacking details, still trying to find out more information about the suspect and where he is, texting several sources and calling in between our breaks here. No word yet, but I can guarantee you that it is the #1 focus right now, the Denver Police Department.
And police did say they know where the suspect lives.
That was brought up in that news conference. Absolutely. They know who this suspect is. They know where this suspect lives. Clearly, it was an enrolled student, so there's a lot of information there. So at this point, and Tony, I kind of want to go back to you on this. In an investigation like this, when it is all hands on deck, every Denver police officer in that area is looking for one person that they have a full description of. Is it a matter of time in these situations?
Well, they've identified the individual. They're looking for him, but I can guarantee you they're also looking for his friends to see what information they can give, what kind of text messaging may be going on, what kind of calls. They're searching everything with one goal, as you both talked about, locating this individual. So I would not be surprised to see law enforcement officers at the homes of the known friends of this individual's, other family members that he may reach out to. They're spreading the net very wide and then hoping to pull it in.
And again, as we're speaking, we just want to continue to update you. This is still live Air Tracker 7 video above East High School. Right now, we do want to get out live down on the ground there because Denver Mayor Michael Hancock is standing by with one of our crew members there. We do want to, let's toss out to them live right now if we can. We're just working on getting Mayor Michael Hancock right now. We will ask him, he spoke at that news conference, but we do want to ask him some continued questions because there are a lot of people with a lot of questions who are out there right now.
And we also know he did go to the hospital. So let's
buy on with Mayor Michael Hancock. Take it away.
Mayor, we're live right now. You were just addressed by several parents. We know that the Denver Police Chief was also addressed by several parents right now. What are they telling you?
They're angry. They're angry. They're frustrated. They're disappointed. Again, another incident at East High School. No parent anywhere in the city should be concerned about the safety of their child in the school building. Faculty's upset. Faculty's frustrated. And so we all have to step back and figure out how we fix this situation and try to make sure everyone is safe.
You're telling me there needs to be a very serious conversation about what kind of structure or system needs to be implemented here for students to feel safe? What does that conversation look like?
It's at East High School, and it's at every building in our school building in our city. The reality is that let's understand that the staff were doing their jobs to keep people safe when they were hurt or shot by the assailant, and we have 2 adult deans who were shot. Their conditions are right now, one critical, one stable, and we're praying for them. We're praying for their families and comfort, but we also got to know that they were doing their job and patting down the student at the time that they were shot. So we've got to continue to do everything we can, and I don't have all the answers yet, but we've got to work with DPS leadership and to make sure we're back in these buildings and doing what we can to keep kids safe.
You know, it was just a couple weeks ago we were talking about the community here mourning the
Oh, okay. It appears we're having some technical difficulties there with Denver 7's Bayan Wang and Mayor Michael Hancock. Our chief investigator, Tony Kovaleski, you had gotten some information that the mayor had actually, before he spoke at the news conference, went to the hospital first.
Yeah, he first went to the hospital to check in and make sure what was happening and connect with the 2 individuals if possible. Obviously, very fluid situation inside that emergency room. Then he went out to East High School, as we saw. Just received a text from an informed source that says he can confirm that the individual they're looking for, the suspect, was a transfer into East High School. Okay. So that's part of the dynamic, part of the picture we're putting together as police are out there trying to find this suspect.
And the latest information that we have from Denver police about that suspect, under 18 years of age, a male student who was enrolled at East High School, last seen in a hoodie with an astronaut on it, again, fled the scene. Our earliest information, it came in only about 15 minutes after this first happened, was that the suspect had fled the scene. So as we're all sure, Denver police is looking for that individual right now, as Tony had mentioned earlier, in contact with friends, with relatives, with family members, etc. So again, we are continuing to monitor what's going on. You heard from Bayan, you heard from the mayor, you've seen pictures of these parents from the ground. I'm sure we will hear from students throughout the day. I think as this scene now has kind of the students have been released, it is growing in frustration. There's a search going on. There's obviously surgeries going on for the victims. And then there's just a whole lot of frustration, Micah, out there at the scene, parents and students.
We have seen a lot of tense moments between students, between parents, between police officers and administrators. I'm texting with a few of our reporters on the ground that are telling me as soon as the parents eyed administrators and DPD Chief Ron Thomas, they ran over and they began to confront them and ask them, why again? Why are our schools not safe? And so tensions again are running very high. We ask everyone to remain peaceful. We understand you have every right to express your frustration.
Yeah.
Because again, kids woke up this morning to go to school. Parents went to work. They get a text message just saying lockdown. Can you imagine how it feels for minutes to tick by and you don't know where your child is, how they're doing. You don't know if they're a victim in this. So I just want to convey that the 3 of us completely understand the frustrations.
That's why you're seeing that frustration there. I mean,
yes.
The definition of insanity is doing things over and over again and expecting a different outcome. This is the 4th time now.
4th time.
Here at East High School, and we went on air just after 10 o'clock, and we tried to bring you as much as we could, and we will continue to do so. So as you're watching right now from Air Tracker 7, you can see students being released right into the arms of waiting parents. A lot of emotion there on the scene as hugs are being given out. We are getting ready to wrap our coverage, but before we do, we want to just recap what we know and what happened so far, and promise you that we will stay on top of this throughout the rest of the day. There was a shooting this morning at East High School. A male student who was enrolled there at East was part of a so-called safety plan to be patted down each and every morning upon entrance to school. That student then fired that handgun at least twice. 2 male staff members were injured, and then we kind of take it from there, Micah.
Yeah, absolutely. We know that those staff members, administrators, were rushed to the hospital. They're both in serious condition. One had to undergo surgery. We had that update from Veronica Acosta, and then another was able to actually speak and talk about what exactly was happening. And then after that, we did hear from Mayor Hancock, Chief Ron Thomas, as well as Dr. Marrero about the current situation at school. School is going to be out for the rest of the week, and 2 armed officers will be there on campus.
Yeah, so again, East High School closed the rest of the week. Parents that are there on scene, this is still part of the controlled release that we expect to be going on for a little while now, as we see just small groups of children being released, or students rather being released, as Denver police continue to search for this suspect, again, accused of shooting 2 school administrators who are still in surgery out there at Denver Health. So we want to promise that we are going to stay on top of this throughout the day. If we get any breaking new information, we will bring it to you on air, on our social media platforms, on denver7.com. So stay with us. As soon as we get more from Denver Police, from Denver Public Schools, and more, we will bring it to you.
And East High School's principal will be speaking this afternoon, and so we will have that update for you as well.
Thank you so much for staying with us throughout our coverage of this breaking news scene. A shooting at East High School, a lot of frustration, a lot of emotion, a lot of scared parents out here. We promise we will continue to stay on top of this throughout the rest of the day.